Hello guys, I'm Shawnthebro, and I was making my most recent vlog the other day about futuristic games and how they should be, things like that. And from that idea, I had an idea for another vlog immediately, but it was a question that I've been asked many times, and not by anybody specific, like it was some in-depth conversation. They were just saying, well, what game is most fun for you? I get asked that all the time. Not because I'm a YouTuber, because that's what gamers ask each other. What kind of games do you like, that kind of thing. So, to answer your question, to answer any of those questions, again, it's not really one person that asked me this. Maybe those exact words weren't really said, but some along those lines of, what games do you play? What genres do you like? Well, I personally like every genre in every game. You say a game like E.T. for the Atari 2600? I think is it 2600? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong on that. Sometimes I get that mixed up. I'm pretty sure. But either way, yeah, I love that game. But the reason that people don't like it is because they only look at they only look at it from a gameplay value. If you think of someone who does a review on it and they make jokes about it, they make you laugh, then that game to me is great because even if it doesn't have the most fantastic gameplay value, it's got a humor value, and honestly that goes a long way. I'm not saying that the game itself is 100% 10 out of 10, but the fact that you can play it and people will tear it apart in some way is pretty great to me. I would never not want that game to exist due to that fact. I would never want any bad games not to exist due to that fact. And plus, I would play them anyway. I would play any game. It could be like Barbie, SingStar, Heroes. Actually, that sounds like a pretty cool game. I think I'm going to go make that in Game Maker right now, so I'll be right back. Okay, so the game's complete, and we're going to play that in the next episode. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Truly, genre-wise, for actual gameplay, my favorite probably would be shooters. I love all of them so much. Racing, adventure. I was gonna say platform. It could be platformers and adventures. They're not always the same, but those two, puzzle, shooting. Like I said, strategic, I count that as different than puzzle, although a lot of times they're grouped together. Flying. I want to say boating, if that makes sense. Boat racing. Yeah, that stuff's fun. They have Hydro Thunder, is what I had in mind, so if that gives you an idea of what I mean by that. But anyway, simulation like Duck Hunt. I guess that would count. I mean, I would say the Oculus would be more of a simulation, but you know what I mean. So, with that, all I'm saying is, although shooter may be my actual personal favorite, doesn't mean that I don't love every type of game. If you look at my collection, it's pretty diverse, I'd say. I mean, I've got a lot of different things in there. And I have way more than what I've ever shown, even in games. I know I've shown the games sometimes, and right there you can't see it, but it's a pretty small pile because it's just the Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U games, and they're all great. I just don't have that many of them back there. But I have so many games for so many different consoles. I have a good amount of consoles that you probably never even heard of. It's not to insult your intelligence, and many of you probably have heard of them, but they're really far out there, and they're Japanese consoles and things like that. Pretty crazy, and I think I'll make some videos on them, like maybe just one video showing a lot of stuff on the console and everything like that, because it's pretty cool, and I think everybody would like it a lot. It's probably nothing that people haven't completely seen before, but it's it's probably nothing that they haven't seen or heard of at all, but they probably don't know what it is or what games it has. So I was thinking about doing that. But as to me, according to me, my personal opinion, if you were to ask me what a good game was, what was the most fun for me, good characters is very important. The game itself can be great, but if you don't like the characters, I mean, it doesn't make the game bad at all, but it will make it a lot less enjoyable. So you have to like the characters. Nathan Drake from Uncharted. That game is fantastic alone, but the characters help it tremendously. In my opinion, of course. The music is very important. Very important to me. Another one from Uncharted. I would say Castlevania is a great one for music. I mean, these are fantastic games, and they're just one of those, two of those, however many I name in this situation. There are so many more. That's just the first one that comes to my head. Halo for music, of course. Enemies. Enemies should be exciting. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to be a rainbow unicorn, but I don't necessarily want to fight just people. And sometimes you do. A lot of times you do. There's realistic ones. But I want them to change. I don't want them all to be the same person. Which a lot of games have that, where even their basic sprites, they've got a good amount of different ones, like 10 to 20. So it doesn't look like you're fighting the same one. And if you think about it, soldiers do look a lot alike, in all their armor and everything. So when it's a war game like that, it makes sense. But I still like it to be different, and they make it different all the time now. Not every single one is different, but a lot of the time they are. A lot of the enemies are different. Just like that. The enemies don't have to be that exciting necessarily. I do want them to be exciting, but they can be basic. Just a variation of it goes a long way for me. Little details go a long way for me. Let's see. Collectibles, I think, usually add a good deal of fun to it, because you get to search for them and find them, get little concept art or achievements or something from it. It's pretty, I like that a lot. Bosses are important. Now, some games don't have bosses. A lot of shooters actually don't have bosses if they're, actual shooters, first-person shooters. But bosses bosses are great, though. They really are. They help for so much. They do so many great things. They usually make you use a whole bunch of different upgrades and things that you've gotten over the gameplay. They test your skills, and it's a big jump from just simple enemies. So it's really fun. I love when they do that. Even just more advanced enemies and more simple enemies. That's cool. Level design goes a long way, because that's what you're looking at for the majority of the time. You could look at the character, but a lot of the time you're going to be looking at the level and what you see. So that's very important. It shouldn't be too repetitive necessarily, but for some games that can be very accepted. It just depends. I mean, so much more than what I'm saying matters, and I'm thinking of them. I'm trying to think of the biggest points. I would say the story definitely does help. I'm not saying that I disagree with that, but you can have a game that's fantastic without a story. I mean, Pac-Man, that's a great game. Many people love that game. Many people have played that game. No real story. So I didn't really want to say that just for that reason, because it makes it sound like games without a story aren't good. But I'm not saying any games that fail in any of these categories aren't good. I'm just saying that I think when they have a good blank story, music, whatever, that makes it more enjoyable a lot of the time. And I want to say weapons, and I do definitely agree with weapons, but I mean, there's a lot of times we're not talking about shooters, like vehicles for cars or power-ups in puzzle games or platformers or any of that. The bonus stuff that you get that's out of the ordinary from when you're normally playing the game. I think that's all important. So I'll probably do some more vlogs based off of certain categories and talk about my favorite games in them and what I like about them. But this was a general overview of all that different stuff. And I know I've been asked that question plenty of times. I'm sure you guys have too. It's a common question, but I figured I'd address it because why not? So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please rate, comment, subscribe. Tell me your opinion in the comments, and I will see you soon. Goodbye, my friends.